Here's the thing about it, right? People don't get this part. Bitcoin is math, but it's a type of math. It's like base 10 math. The Bitcoin protocol is a protocol for money. Now, I hand it to you. You can either say, great, this is the dominant protocol for money. This is the winner, and I'm going to buy as much of it as I can. Or you can keep trying to commercialize base 16 math and base 32 math and base 2 math and base 4 math and, the base 16 math. Base 10 math is not the only mathematical protocol any more than the metric system is the only system of measures. It happens to be one that we adopted. There's no reason to think it doesn't last 1,000 years. It could last 10,000 years, right? And that's the part that people don't get.
And that's the part people don't get, is that Bitcoin could last thousands of years. It's the most scarcest asset in the world. If you don't have your piece of it, as the years progress, it's going to become more and more expensive. In fiat terms, Bitcoin's not increasing. There's only 21 million, but the valuation in whatever fiat denomination you're looking at is going to be substantially more as time progresses. If you get it, you get it. And with that, what's happening, Crypto Crew? Sean's coming back at you, another cryptocurrency video. We have a jam-packed video for you today. So getting straight into it, an update from Plan B. I see Bitcoin as a call option. Bitcoin will either go to 100 trillion, which is the global M2 money supply, or zero. If Bitcoin becomes global currency, then Bitcoin value will be approximately $5 million per Bitcoin. This is at the current global M2 money supply. At 27,000, the Bitcoin market currently estimates 0.5% probability of that happening. Do you have your fair share? And remember, this is exactly why you need it.
The failure of Silicon Valley Bank on the Federal Reserve's watch very clearly calls into question whether or not some of that trust was misplaced. Make no mistake, the lion's share of the blame is on incompetent bank executives. And it's outrageous that these people took bonuses and sold stock in the days leading up to the bank's failure. We should hold these executives accountable for the fullest extent of the law and claw back those bonuses and stock sales. I'm co-sponsoring a bill to do just that. But as I laid out in a letter to you, Vice Chair Barr, that, by the way, was signed by 11 other senators spanning the ideological spectrum, it's gravely concerning that retail participants, literally just regular everyday people, were able to figure out that something was wrong with Silicon Valley Bank before your regulators took appropriate action. Now, these folks don't have access to non-public information like the bank examiners do. But when people on Reddit and Twitter can spot bank mismanagement before the regulators, something is terribly wrong.
And she hit the nail on the head. When Twitter and subredditors can see if there's issues in the banking system, that means the banking system is flawed. You have an option to get out of it, Bitcoin. And with that, taking a look at the DXY on the weekly. We've showed you this before, but it seems that the dollar has topped out. And right now, there's a big macro support line that the dollar has tested once, fell through it, retested it twice, 3 times, and fell through it, and then retested it once. So are we going to keep testing this again before we fall through this? And if we look here, the last time we fell through this and fell down to this bottom macro support line, this was 2020, 2021. This is when Bitcoin cryptocurrency rallied. So the next time we fall through this macro trend line, could look something like this. We could trade, come down, retest, actually break it, flip support to resistance, and then ultimately have that fall down and ultimately see that big macro run up to the upside. This is how this could play out. Definitely bullish for Bitcoin and crypto. Looking at the Bitcoin price chart, you see that we've had this rounding bottom here. This rounding bottom looks like we're getting out of the woods, and Bitcoin is trying to stair step its way back up through these EMAs, as you see here. This is on the weekly, so we'll see once we get a weekly close, and once these EMAs start to coil up and cross over one another, definitely be bullish. Where could we be going from CryptoCon? Just like last cycle, Bitcoin bottom at the green midline of the logarithmic regression bands, which I warned you in December of 2022 at 16.8K. So what he's referencing here is down here, this green level every single time, this green level is the bottoming structure. So back in 2019, we had a rally up to the upside to make the mid-cycle top, still in the bear market. And if we do that again, where could that be taking us to? That could be taking us upwards around that $40,000 threshold, probably somewhere between 40 and 50K. Could we be seeing that by the summertime? That could be in the cards for Bitcoin and crypto. And looking right here, as you see, Bitcoin has made its golden cross over the yellow 350 daily moving average. But the price doesn't stop there. And every single time, the 1.6 line was the first stop. 1.6 line was the first stop. The current time it's recording, that 1.6 line's at that $37,000 threshold. So as we showed you here, Bitcoin could come back up to these levels. Bitcoin could come back up to these levels and get back up to somewhere between that $35,000 to $45,000 threshold, and then be off to the races. Now you want to get in now because the price is suppressed at 27.2K. right now. But why could the next bull run see tons of money pour into the space? This is why. $14 trillion earthquake. Fidelity and BlackRock are quietly laying the groundwork for the next Bitcoin, Ethereum, and crypto bull run. So you see, this is a Forbes article, but the institutions and the big boys are getting ready to play. There could be an ETF that passes. You see all of these banking collapses, and there's going to be people that are looking for another alternative option, and that's Bitcoin. Now, do you have to go 100% into Bitcoin? We've told you guys you can diversify. If you don't have one Bitcoin yet, and you're still working towards that, keep stacking sats. But can you do other hard assets? Can you do gold? Can you do real estate? Yeah. If you want to buy out your house, that's never a bad thing. You need a place to live, but don't take it from us. We can listen to Greg Foss, and he's talking about, should you go 100% into Bitcoin, or should you be 95% Bitcoin, 5% real estate? Let's hear from Greg.
For that, Nico, it's important to understand that the banking system, which is the transfer mechanism of the fiat Ponzi, requires inflation as well. So even though technology, as Jeff Booth points out, and a lot of people are talking about now with chat, GPT and whatever, should be deflationary, the banking system can't handle deflation because of the collateral value that secures a lot of the loans. So imagine if real estate didn't always go up in price, the loan to value ratio of the bank's loan versus the value of the property it lends against, if it gets less than, if the loan is greater than the value of the property, the bank owns it. So they need the value of the property to appreciate over time with inflation. So you see the fine line they're walking between too much inflation, but they can't have negative inflation or deflation, because that would be the death knell to the transfer mechanism, which is the banking system. So very, very huge dichotomy we're heading into. But don't worry, people. Don't get caught between inflation and deflation. All paths lead to Bitcoin. In either outcome, Bitcoin is the solution. So all I would say, there was a question flying across, what do I think about real estate? I think commercial real estate's in big trouble. I don't own commercial real estate. I think the question was relating to house prices. I maintain that a house is a good hard asset, that if you want to own your house, go ahead. You don't have to own 100% Bitcoin. If you want to have exposure to residential real estate as a homeowner, over time, you should do well. I'm not saying you'll do as well as Bitcoin, and in fact, there's no way a house is as portable as Bitcoin, or as transferable as Bitcoin, or as liquid as Bitcoin. But as far as a hard asset goes, own a house before you own any fixed income treasuries from the US government. You're a knucklehead if you're funding the fiat Ponzi and you don't own a hard asset like real estate.